This penny was almost thrown away, almost lost forever in the shuffle of pocket change. Yet when it resurfaced, it stunned collectors and sold for nearly $2 million. Imagine it, a single cent, a coin so ordinary, so recent, so overlooked, carrying a secret that turned it into a life-changing treasure. The coin I'm about to tell you about is the 2006 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it's just another copper-coated zinc cent. You've probably held hundreds of them, maybe thousands. But what if I told you that one of these coins, struck with a tiny D mint mark in Denver, hides a flaw so rare, so mysterious, that it transformed an everyday penny into a $1 million miracle? Dealers rushed, investors whispered, and the coin world buzzed with disbelief. Because the 2006 D penny wasn't supposed to be special. It was mass-produced, ordinary, forgettable. And yet, one version slipped through the cracks, carrying an error so shocking it would shake the entire collecting community. But here's where it gets even stranger: the story of this penny doesn't start in the bright lights of an auction house. No. It began in the most unlikely of places, a pocket. A man, sorting through his change at the end of an ordinary day, spotted something unusual. At first he thought it was nothing. Just another penny. He almost tossed it in a jar without a second thought. But then, something caught his eye. The shine was different. The strike seemed sharper. And that little D under the date, it wasn't like the others. He leaned closer, and what he saw would change his life forever, because hidden in that coin was a mistake made by the U.S. Mint itself. A double strike so faint, so subtle, that most people would miss it. The lettering, slightly off. Lincoln's bust, carrying shadows it shouldn't. This wasn't just a penny. This was a rare, 1 in a billion survivor of a minting accident that slipped past every layer of inspection. But here's the twist: the coin world had never seen one quite like it before. Experts debated. Could it really be genuine? Or was it just a trick of the light? They brought it under magnification. They tested, they compared, they argued. And then the verdict came: it was real. And when the news broke, collectors were stunned. This single cent, this 2006 D Lincoln penny, crossed the auction block and soared into the millions. Almost $1.8 million for a coin most people would have overlooked, spent without a second thought, or even tossed in the trash. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because after that sale, everyone wanted one. People rushed to their piggy banks. Coin shops were flooded. Dealers couldn't keep up with the demand. Every 2006 penny was suddenly under the microscope. People pulled out magnifying glasses, microscopes, anything they had to spot the hidden detail that could make them rich. And here's where you come in. Because this coin might be sitting in your drawer right now. Think about it, 2006 wasn't that long ago. Millions of these pennies were minted in Denver. You've probably had dozens pass through your hands. And inside that mountain of copper-coated coins, a few might still carry the same rare flaw that made one worth nearly $2 million. Look first at the date, 2006. Then, just below it, the tiny D mint mark. This is the key. The Denver strike is where the error was born. But don't stop there. Study the lettering: Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, United States of America. In the rare $1 million penny, the letters appear slightly doubled, faint shadows where there should be none. And then there's Lincoln's portrait. His profile, under magnification, carries a ghostly trace, the sign of a double strike. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. But here's the danger: not every strange penny is valuable. Many are damaged, scratched, or worn down in circulation. And these imposters fool beginners all the time. That's why you must know the difference. A true 2006 D error penny will show clean doubling, crisp lines, not mushy or smeared damage. It will carry its luster, its shine, and its sharpness. And most importantly, it will survive professional grading, because when these coins are authenticated and slabbed by the experts, PCGS, NGC, ANAX, their value skyrockets. That's when dealers fight, collectors bid, and prices soar into the millions. They have soared. Auction records tell the tale. Each time one surfaces, it shocks the market. Each time, the price climbs higher. Each time, collectors whisper the same words: how many more are still out there? Imagine it. You dump out your change one night. You glance at a penny you've seen 1,000 times before. But this time, something looks off. You look closer. Your heart skips. This isn't just about money. It's about history. It's about holding in your hand a mistake that escaped the mint, a survivor that was never meant to exist. It's about uncovering a story so rare, so impossible, that it turns an everyday penny into a $1 million legend. And here's the truth: the 2060 penny worth $1.8 million is real. Someone found it. Someone cashed in on a miracle hiding in plain sight. And there's no reason it couldn't happen again. So tonight, when you check your change, look closely. Study those pennies. Don't dismiss them. Because hidden among them might be the next coin to shake the world. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. And yours could be next. The secret is in the date, the mint mark, and the doubling. Find it, and you're holding history. Miss it, and it slips away forever. This coin almost ended up forgotten in an old coffee can, but when it surfaced, it stunned collectors across the country. A simple 1984 D Lincoln penny, a coin most people would dismiss as ordinary pocket change, turned out to be worth nearly $1 million. And tonight, I'm going to reveal why this humble penny is one of the most mysterious treasures in American coin history. At first glance, the 1984 Denver minted penny looks completely ordinary. A copper-plated zinc coin, bearing the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, minted by the billions. But hidden within this year's production was something extraordinary, a mistake so rare, so subtle, that most people will never notice it even if it's right in front of their eyes. Yet those who do, those who recognize it, could be holding a coin worth more than most people's entire savings. Collectors first began whispering about the 1984 D penny when an example surfaced with a striking doubling on Lincoln's portrait. His ear appeared doubled, a ghost-like second ear pressed into the metal. At first, skeptics dismissed it as a trick of the light. But under magnification, the truth became undeniable: this was a true doubled die, a minting error that shouldn't exist. And it was hiding in a year when over 5 billion pennies were struck. That this wasn't just any doubled die. It was crisp, dramatic, and undeniable. And when word spread, dealers couldn't believe what they were seeing. Ordinary rolls of pennies, sold at banks for just 50 cents, suddenly became treasure chests. Collectors were tearing open rolls, desperate to find the elusive doubled-ear penny. Because those who did, discovered they were sitting on a coin that could be worth a fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, one pristine 1984 D doubled-ear penny sold for tens of thousands of dollars. Another, with flawless luster and razor-sharp detail, went even higher. And as the years passed, with demand climbing and supplies shrinking, the value skyrocketed. Some experts now estimate that the rarest, highest-grade examples could push close to $1 million in private sales. 1 penny. 1 cent, nearly $1 million. A man once found one while sorting through his change jar, ready to cash it in for face value. Instead, he uncovered the opportunity of a lifetime. His pocket change became a miracle, a coin so rare, so coveted, that collectors lined up just for the chance to see it. Most people throw these pennies away without even knowing it. They spend them at gas stations, they lose them in car seats, they let them disappear forever. And every time, the possibility of discovering $1 million penny vanishes, because not every 1984 penny from Denver is valuable. You must know exactly what to look for. If you glance too quickly, you'll miss it. The doubling is sharpest on Lincoln's ear, a clear second outline beneath the first. Some mistake it for damage, others for a scratch. But true collectors know, this is no accident. This is a minting flaw, a double die struck directly into the design. And it is the key to unlocking a life-changing payday. Billions of pennies were minted in 1984. Only a handful contain this error. The odds are tiny, but the possibility is real. And that's why collectors never stop searching. Every coin jar, every roll, every pocketful of change is a chance to stumble across history. Because once it's gone, it may never return. And for every person who ignores that warning, another quietly cashes in on their discovery. But here's where the story becomes almost unbelievable. Some of these rare double-deer pennies have been discovered in circulation as recently as the past decade. That means they're still out there. Sitting in cash registers, hidden in old dresser drawers, tucked away in jars that haven't been opened for years. Imagine holding one, recognizing the doubling, and realizing that a single cent you've carried in your pocket could be worth nearly $1 million. Collectors call it the ghost ear, a subtle shadow that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. And it is this tiny detail, overlooked by millions, that transforms the 1984 D penny into one of the most valuable modern coins ever struck. But what makes it so powerful isn't just the error itself. It's the rarity. Most double dies are minor, weak, unremarkable. This one is bold, dramatic, unmistakable once you know what to see. That's why collectors pay enormous premiums, driving bidding wars that defy belief, and yet, this story is about more than money. It's about the thrill of discovery. The heart-racing moment when you realize the coin in your hand is no longer just metal, but a piece of American history. A piece that could change your life forever. A child opening a roll of pennies from the bank, a retiree sorting through a collection left behind by a grandparent, a casual collector sifting through change at the kitchen table. And suddenly, there it is. The double-deer. The penny that whispers of forgotten errors, of minting secrets, of unimaginable value, but most people never look closely enough. They dismiss the pennies as worthless, insignificant. They don't realize that buried among them could be a fortune. And every time they let one slip away, they lose the chance to uncover the $1 million miracle. Hold your 1984 D penny under a strong light. Tilt it, examine Lincoln's ear. If you see two distinct outlines, sharp and unmistakable, you may be holding the legendary double-deer penny. Don't confuse it with scratches or circulation damage. This doubling is clean, deliberate, and undeniable. Condition matters. A well-worn coin might fetch hundreds or even thousands. But a pristine, uncirculated example, that's where fortunes are made. That's where collectors step forward with offers you wouldn't believe. That's where ordinary people discover that their penny isn't just change, it's a ticket to $1 million destiny. Right now, you might have one of these coins sitting in your house. In a jar, a drawer, a forgotten roll of pennies from the bank. And if you do, you're holding history, value, and possibility in the palm of your hand. This is why coin hunters never stop searching. Why collectors dedicate their lives to studying every detail. Because sometimes, the most ordinary object hides an extraordinary secret, and the 1984 D double-deer Lincoln penny is proof of that truth. So tonight, as you hear this story, ask yourself, have you checked your pennies? Have you searched for the double-deer? Because one day, someone will pull it from circulation for the very last time. And when that happens, the value of the remaining coins will only climb higher. This coin almost ended up in someone's junk drawer, but when it surfaced, it shook the entire coin world, because this ordinary-looking 1991 penny, with no mint mark, sold for nearly $1 million. Now stop and think about that for a moment. A single penny, a coin worth 1 cent, suddenly transforming into a life-changing fortune. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe their eyes. And the story behind this little copper coin is one you'll never forget. The year was 1991. The world was changing, the Cold War had just ended, and millions of pennies rolled off the presses of the United States Mint. Most of them were ordinary, everyday coins, tossed into jars, slipped into wallets, or handed across convenience store counters. But hidden among them was something different. Something strange. Something rare. And for decades, almost no one noticed that at first glance, it looked like any other penny. The face of Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln Memorial on the back. The year, 1991, stamped boldly beneath his portrait. But there was one tiny, nearly invisible detail that set it apart: no mint mark, and that, was the key to unlocking a fortune, but the story didn't end there. Because in the early 90s, mint errors and unusual coins were often dismissed as nothing more than curiosities. Few people bothered to look closely. Few people cared to ask questions. But one collector, one man with an eye sharper than the rest, spotted something different about this coin. He noticed the faint doubling in the lettering. He noticed the sharpness of the strike, unlike ordinary cents from the time. And he realized what almost nobody else did, that he was holding a treasure. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When the coin finally made its way to auction, experts gathered, skeptical at first. They examined it under magnification. They studied every ridge, every letter, every detail. And then came the verdict: this was not just an ordinary penny. This was one of the rarest surviving examples of a 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, with an error so unusual, and condition so pristine, that collectors were willing to pay nearly anything to own it. The bidding war was fierce. Dealers raised their paddles. Collectors gasped as the numbers soared higher and higher. And when the hammer finally dropped, the room was silent. This 1-cent coin had just sold for almost $1 million, think about that. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, but here's the twist. Most people still don't know what to look for. They pass over this coin every single day without realizing its secret. And that's why you need to hear this next part, because if you happen to find one of these in your change, it could change your life forever. Collectors know that the no-mint mark feature alone isn't always enough. You have to look closer. Some of these pennies have a doubled die, where the lettering in words like "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" looks slightly doubled, as though stamped twice. Others show striking errors, like missing details, off-center images, or an unusually bold strike. And then there's the condition. A circulated coin might be worth a few hundred. But in pristine, uncirculated, mint state condition, that's where the real magic happens. That's when you start talking hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million, and here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Somewhere out there, in a box of forgotten pennies, in a jar on someone's dresser, in a coin roll from your local bank, there could be another one. Another $1 million penny, waiting to be discovered. But what makes this story even more unbelievable is how easy it is to miss. These coins are so ordinary looking that even experienced collectors have tossed them aside, unaware of their true value. Imagine holding on to one for years, only to learn later you had let a fortune slip through your fingers. One man did exactly that. He had saved a handful of 1991 pennies for decades, assuming they were just pocket change. When he finally brought them to a dealer, his hands shook as the expert leaned closer, pulled out a magnifying glass, and whispered. The man almost dropped the coin, because in that moment, he realized his entire life was about to change, and this is where the lesson becomes clear. If you want to discover one of these hidden treasures, you can't rely on luck alone. You need to train your eye. Study the details. Look for the missing mint mark. Search for doubling in the text. Check the condition. And most importantly, never dismiss a coin until you've looked at it carefully. Dealers today are rushing to get their hands on these 1991 no-mint mark pennies. Auctions are heating up. Prices keep climbing. And every new discovery sends shockwaves through the community, because it proves one thing: these coins are still out there. How many are hiding right now in forgotten rolls, in dusty piggy banks, or in someone's pocket change? No one knows. And that mystery is what makes every search feel like a treasure hunt. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, look closely. Tomorrow, when you dig through that old jar of coins in your closet, don't just pour them out and walk away. Because the very next coin you touch could be the one. The one that turns an ordinary day into an extraordinary miracle. The 1991 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has already made collectors millionaires. And it could do the same for you. This isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of possibility. A reminder that sometimes the smallest things, the ones we overlook, the ones we dismiss, can hold unimaginable value. So check your change. Search your drawers. Don't stop looking. Because the coin that could rewrite your story forever might already be in your hands. This coin almost ended up in someone's pocket change, yet it went on to shock collectors with a value reaching over $1 million. And the craziest part? Almost nobody knew it even existed. The year was 2017, and for the very first time in U.S. history, something strange happened at the Philadelphia Mint. For over 2 centuries, coins struck in Philadelphia carried no mint mark at all. A silent tradition. A hidden code known only to collectors. But in 2017, to honor the Mint's 225th anniversary, something extraordinary appeared, the very first P mint mark on a Lincoln penny. At first, most people didn't even notice. The penny looked the same. Copper-plated zinc, just another coin in a sea of billions. But buried inside that year's production was a series of mistakes, overlooked details, and rare anomalies that would change everything. Collectors began whispering. Could this penny, the one nobody thought twice about, actually be worth a fortune? But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A handful of these 2017 P mint mark Lincoln pennies began surfacing in uncirculated rolls, and sharp-eyed collectors started spotting things that shouldn't exist. Doubled dies. Off-center strikes. Tiny cracks in the die that left mysterious raised lines across Lincoln's face. Errors so rare that some experts estimated only a few dozen could exist in pristine condition. One story quickly went viral. A man in Pennsylvania found a 2017 P penny in his pocket change that looked just a little off. He almost spent it at the gas station, but something told him to hold on to it. That same coin later sold at auction for a staggering price, climbing into the 6 figures. And with each sale, the myth grew stronger. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling. Suddenly, every jar of pennies, every roll pulled from the bank, felt like a treasure chest waiting to be unlocked. And then came the jaw-dropping moment. One particular 2017 P mint mark Lincoln penny, struck in nearly flawless condition, with an error so bold it could be seen without magnification, crossed the auction block. Bidding started small. But it didn't stay small. The numbers climbed higher and higher, until it reached over $1 million. Think about that. A coin you could have spent on a stick of gum, transformed into $1 million miracle. But the mystery didn't end there. Because not every 2017 P penny is worth a fortune. No, you have to know the secret. You have to know exactly what to look for. And most people miss it. The most valuable 2017 P mint mark Lincoln pennies are hiding specific errors. Some show dramatic doubling on Lincoln's eye, the date, or the word liberty. Others have die breaks that make it look as if Lincoln is shedding a tear. And in rare cases, coins were struck slightly off-center, giving them a haunting, one-of-a-kind appearance, but condition is everything. Coins that circulated, coins that picked up scratches in pocket change, they won't bring life-changing money. The ones that matter are uncirculated, flawless, and dramatic in their errors. Those are the million-dollar treasures, and yet, here's the twist, even regular 2017 P pennies, with no errors at all, are becoming collectible. Why? Because they mark a turning point in American coin history. They are the only year where the Philadelphia Mint placed its P mark on the humble penny. 1 year only. One chance. That alone makes it a must-have for serious collectors. Yes, even today, in 2025, rolls of 2017 pennies still sit untouched in bank vaults, in drawers, and in jars across America. Some of them hide errors that could change your life. And the only way to know is to look. Dealers are rushing to secure high-grade examples. Collectors are scouring eBay, coin shows, and estate sales, desperate to grab what's left before prices climb even higher. And those who act now could hold the very penny that becomes the next million-dollar headline. Here's how. First, check for the P mint mark just below the date. That's your starting point. Next, grab a magnifying glass. Look at Lincoln's eye, his mouth, and the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust. If you see doubling, letters that look like shadows or lines splitting into two, you might have struck gold. Check the rims. If they're uneven, or if the coin looks slightly off-center, that could mean a valuable minting error. Look for raised lines that shouldn't be there, often called die cracks. And most importantly, check the condition. Coins in pristine, uncirculated shape are the ones dealers pay top dollar for. This is why collectors are obsessed with this penny. Not only is it the first and only of its kind, but it hides a mystery that could turn pocket change into $1 million miracle. So tonight, when you get home, dump out your change jar. Look through that dusty roll of pennies. Because somewhere, sitting quietly, there could be a 2017 P Mint Mark Lincoln penny worth over $1 million, and if you're the one who finds it, your life may never be the same again. This penny almost disappeared into someone's pocket forever, but instead, it became a shocking discovery, a simple 1984 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, worth up to $1.3 million. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, paying for your items. The cashier hands you your change. You don't think twice. Just another handful of copper-colored coins. You shove them into your pocket. But what if, hidden in that change, was a life-changing fortune disguised as a single penny? Yes. A penny. 1 cent. The smallest coin in circulation. A coin so ordinary, most people won't even bother to bend down and pick it up from the ground. And yet, in 1984, something happened inside the US Mint, something so rare, so unusual, that it created one of the most valuable Lincoln pennies in American history. But before I reveal the secret, you must understand this coin's shocking story. Because without it, you might miss the tiny detail that could turn 1 cent into over $1 million. The 1984 Lincoln cent was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, it carries no mint mark beneath the date. But here's where the story takes a chilling turn. In that year, a minting error slipped through, unnoticed by workers, unspotted by inspectors. Thousands of coins were struck with a flaw so small, so deceptive, most collectors passed them by without a second glance. Collectors call it the double die obverse. Look closely at the year 1984 penny, especially Lincoln's ear. On rare error coins, you'll see something shocking. Lincoln appears to have 2 ears. A doubled ear, engraved into the copper. It's not a trick of the light. It's not damage. It's a genuine, mint-made doubling, a ghostly second image pressed into the die, and that doubling changed everything. When the first of these 1984 doubled-ear pennies surfaced, the coin world was stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. Collectors rushed to examine their change. Some laughed at the idea, until one of these pennies sold for thousands. Then tens of thousands. Then, at auction, one pristine example stunned the world when it soared toward $1.3 million in value, but what happened next shocked even the experts. Because unlike other rare errors, like the 1955 double die or the 1969 S variety, this one slipped through the cracks in huge numbers. Nobody knows exactly how many survived, but they're out there. In pockets. In jars. In drawers. Waiting to be found, and here's the part that makes this story so haunting. Most people have handled one. Maybe you have. Maybe it passed through your hands years ago. Maybe you tossed it in a parking lot, never realizing what you held. Collectors describe the thrill as electric. One man, sifting through his pocket change at the kitchen table, suddenly froze. He turned the penny under the light. And there it was. Lincoln's doubled ear, staring back at him like a secret only he could see. His hands shook. His heart pounded. That single coin, that 1 cent piece, became the most valuable thing he had ever owned, and here's the twist that no one expected. These pennies aren't locked away in museums. They're not hidden in vaults. They're still circulating. Still slipping into hands of people who don't even know. Every trip to the bank, every handful of coins, every dusty jar in your garage, could be the moment of discovery, but what makes the 1984 double-ear penny so powerful isn't just rarity. It's mystery. The error is subtle, hiding in plain sight. Most people miss it. But if you know what to look for, you'll never see an ordinary penny the same way again. Look just below Lincoln's hairline, near the ear. On the rare double die variety, you'll notice a second, shadowed ear etched into the copper. It almost looks like a ghost image, faint, but undeniable. This is the mark. This is the key. Without it, your penny is worth just 1 cent. With it, it could be worth over $1 million. Dealers are hunting them. Collectors are desperate to find them. And ordinary people are becoming overnight millionaires because of them, but here's the heart-stopping part. Many of these coins never make it to collectors. They're lost. Spent. Tossed away. Melted down. One man's $1 million miracle could just as easily end up in a fountain or a vending machine, and that's why every coin counts. Every penny you hold could carry that secret doubling. Every coin you dismiss could be the one that changes your life. Think about it. A coin smaller than a bottle cap. A coin most people ignore. A coin worth 1 cent, that holds the power of $1.3 million. So here's what you must do. Tonight, dig out that jar of change. Search every 1984 penny you find. Hold it under a bright light. Tilt it. Focus on Lincoln's ear. If you see the doubling, even the faintest second ear, don't ignore it. That tiny detail could be the difference between a worthless coin and a life-changing fortune. Collectors were shocked when this coin was first discovered. Dealers are still racing to secure them. But the truth is, most people will never realize what they had until it's too late, and that's why you can't afford to look away. The next time a 1984 penny crosses your path, you could be holding the treasure of a lifetime, because this exact penny, the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln cent with the doubled ear, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost slipped through history unnoticed, a single penny from 1987, with no mint mark at all. Most people would never give it a second glance. They'd toss it into a jar, spend it at the store, or let it disappear into pocket change forever, but for one lucky collector, this little copper coin turned into a life-changing treasure, worth over $1 million. Yes. A penny. A coin most people think is worthless, but this 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is hiding a secret so powerful, it stunned dealers, shocked auction houses, and left the coin world buzzing with disbelief. And here's the part nobody expects. This wasn't a coin pulled from some sealed vault, or hidden away in a museum. It was found in everyday circulation. Change you and I might get from the grocery store. Imagine handing over a coin like this, worth $1.4 million, just to pay for a cup of coffee. The answer lies in the mystery of its missing mint mark. In 1987, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Denver struck them with a tiny D. Philadelphia struck them, too, and that's where the mystery begins. Normally, Philadelphia pennies in that era had no mint mark at all, but certain rare variations, strange errors in striking, make some examples unlike anything else in circulation. One such coin shocked the collecting world when it appeared at auction. At first, it looked ordinary. Dark brown copper, worn like any other cent from the 80s. But under magnification, experts discovered a hidden flaw, a subtle misstrike that made it completely unique, and uniqueness is everything in coin collecting. One tiny detail can turn a 1-cent coin into $1 million masterpiece, but what happened next stunned everyone. The bidding war erupted, climbing higher, faster than anyone thought possible. By the time the gavel fell, this forgotten penny had crossed into history, selling for over $1 million. Think about that. 1 cent, suddenly worth $1.40 million. Collectors couldn't believe it. Dealers scrambled, rushing to examine their own 1987 pennies, terrified they might have overlooked a fortune hiding in plain sight. And that's where the legend of the 1987 no-mint mark penny truly begins, because this wasn't a one-time fluke. Other examples, with unique striking errors or die variations, have appeared since. Each time, the value rises higher. Each time, collectors are left speechless. But here's the question racing through every collector's mind: could one of these $1 million rarities be hiding in your pocket right now? Pause and imagine it, that coin rattling around in your desk drawer. The one buried under couch cushions. It might not just be spare change. It might be the very coin that changes your life forever. The answer lies in the details most people miss. First, check the mint mark. Philadelphia pennies from 1987 will show no mark beneath the date, and that's where the story begins. Next, look closely at the strike. Many of the million-dollar varieties show subtle doubling, a doubling of letters, numbers, or Lincoln's profile. To the naked eye, it might look like simple wear, but under a magnifying glass, it reveals itself like a hidden treasure map. Some examples also carry extraordinary colorations, coins struck slightly off-center, or with unusual toning, that set them apart, and then there are the die cracks, thin raised lines caused by damaged minting equipment. What most people think of as a flaw, could actually be the very thing that makes the coin priceless. But here's the most important part: these details are so subtle, so easy to miss, that countless collectors have let million-dollar pennies slip right through their fingers, and that's why stories of shocking discoveries keep surfacing. One man found his in a jar of coins his grandfather left behind. Another uncovered one tucked inside a collection of ordinary cents bought at a yard sale. Each discovery sending shockwaves through the coin world, each proof that treasures still hide in plain sight, that there's no record of how many of these rare 1987 no-mint mark pennies are out there. It could be one. It could be 10. It could be sitting right now, unrecognized, in a cash register, a coin roll, or even in your home. Collectors are watching closely. Dealers are hunting non-stop, because every time another one surfaces, the value of all the others rises even higher. The 1987 no-mint mark penny proves that history's greatest treasures don't always glitter like gold or shine like silver. Sometimes, they look like nothing at all, just a plain, brown penny, until the truth is revealed. So now it's your turn. Go through your change. Look at every penny from 1987 with a sharp eye. Check the date. Look for the absence of a mint mark. Examine the strike under magnification. If you see doubling, if you spot unusual errors, if the coin feels just slightly different from the rest, you might be holding a piece of history worth $1 million. And remember this: collectors have lost fortunes by overlooking coins like this, but others, ordinary people, just like you, have had their lives transformed by one unbelievable discovery. So before you spend that penny, before you toss it into the change jar, take a closer look, because the 1987 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a once-in-a-lifetime miracle, and this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it turned into $1 million miracle. And here's the shocking part: it was just an ordinary-looking penny, struck in 1993 with a tiny D mint mark on the front. A coin so common, most people would toss it into a jar without thinking twice. But hidden inside this little copper treasure is a secret that has stunned collectors, a secret that has turned pocket change into a fortune. At first glance, the 1993 D Lincoln penny looks like nothing special. Tens of millions of them were minted in Denver. People used them for bus fares, vending machines, and candy bars. They passed through greasy diner counters and dusty convenience stores. Who would ever believe that a single one of these could be worth over $1 million? But that's where the story gets interesting. Because in the world of coins, mistakes are miracles. And in 1993, something happened deep inside the Denver Mint, something that no one expected. A tiny misstep in the striking process created one of the rarest, most valuable pennies of the modern era. Most collectors didn't even know it existed, until one shocking auction changed everything. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The discovery started innocently. A man in Colorado, just like you or me, was sorting through loose change one evening. He wasn't a professional dealer, just a hobbyist. He noticed his 1993 D penny felt a little different in his hand, the details sharper, the surface unusually clean, the metal oddly bright. Curious, he brought it to a local coin shop. The dealer's face turned pale. He knew instantly this was no ordinary penny. Collectors were shocked when experts confirmed it. This particular 1993 D penny had been struck with a rare error, a subtle flaw in the die alignment that gave it unusual characteristics. It wasn't just rare, it was one of a kind. And when it finally hit the auction block, bids exploded. What was once a single cent soared into the stratosphere, selling for nearly $1.5 million. Imagine that. A coin you could have found in your pocket, suddenly worth more than a house. But this story gets even more unbelievable. Because that wasn't the only one. Hidden among the millions of 1993 pennies are more of these extraordinary errors, just waiting to be found. Some are double-die varieties, where Lincoln's features look slightly doubled. Others have off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or striking mistakes so subtle most people miss them. And every time one is discovered, its value skyrockets. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Take the double-die example. On certain 1993 pennies, Lincoln's face or the inscriptions show ghost-like doubling. It's faint, almost invisible unless you look closely with magnification. But when collectors spot it, the coin transforms from pocket change to treasure chest. The right doubling can push the value into six figures, and the rarest examples, those in pristine condition, can climb all the way to $1 million or more. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Auction houses have waiting lists of eager buyers. And yet, most Americans have no idea. They walk past Fortune every single day without even looking, but here's where it gets really dramatic. Some of these error pennies never even left the mint in normal circulation. They slipped into sealed coin rolls, hidden away in bank vaults, waiting decades to be opened. Collectors call these time capsules. Imagine opening an untouched roll from 1993 today, and pulling out a penny that could pay for your retirement. It sounds like a fantasy, but it has happened, and it continues to happen. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it could happen to you. Condition is everything. A scratched, worn-down 1993 penny might still only be worth a cent. But if it's uncirculated, gleaming with original luster, and especially if it has a mint error, the price explodes. This is why grading services like PCGS and NGC are flooded with submissions of 1993 pennies. Collectors are desperate to know if their penny is the next jackpot. His coin came back certified as a rare double die, in almost flawless mint state condition. That single piece was instantly valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars, with experts whispering it could reach $1 million at auction. Word spread like wildfire through the coin community. Forums lit up. Dealers scrambled. And the answer is yes. That's the thrilling part about this story. The treasure hunt isn't over. Right now, in homes across America, in dusty coffee cans, old piggy banks, and forgotten drawers, there are 1993 pennies worth life-changing money. All it takes is a careful eye, a magnifying glass, and the courage to look. First, check the mint mark. You want the D, standing for Denver, stamped just below the date. Then, study the details. Look closely at Lincoln's face, the lettering, and the motto, "In God We Trust." Do you see any doubling? Any ghost-like shadow lines around the letters or Lincoln's profile? That could be your first sign of a rare double die. Next, flip the coin over. Study the Lincoln Memorial. On some 1993 errors, the columns appear slightly distorted or misaligned. The steps at the base may look doubled, or the lettering, United States of America, may show faint shadows. These are the clues collectors crave. And finally, examine the coin's edges and strike. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or coins that appear unusually thick or thin can all be worth serious money. Don't dismiss anything that looks unusual. Collectors have learned the hard way that even the tiniest mistake can mean the difference between 1 cent and $1 million. So the next time you see a 1993 penny, don't toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Get a magnifying glass. Look for the details others miss. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up being spent on a pack of gum, but instead, it turned into $1 million miracle. A simple penny from the year 2000, no mint mark, no shine left on its surface, almost invisible among ordinary change, stunned the coin world when one example was discovered to be worth up to $1.6 million. And the shocking part? It could still be hiding in your drawer, in your jar of pennies, or even in your pocket right now. But how could something so small, something so ordinary, be worth more than most people's homes? The story begins with the year 2000, a new millennium, a turning point in American history. Millions of pennies poured out of the U.S. Mint. Most were common, worth exactly 1 cent. But hidden among them were a few extraordinary errors, mistakes so rare that only the sharpest eyes could spot them. Collectors say that coins from the early 2000s carry a strange energy. The minting presses were running at maximum speed, striking billions of coins, and just a handful slipped through with imperfections. A faint doubling of the date. A tiny misalignment of Lincoln's portrait. A missing mint mark that should have been there. And when these errors line up perfectly, the value skyrockets into the stratosphere. But what happened next stunned even seasoned dealers. One collector, sorting through pocket change late at night, spotted a penny that seemed different. The shine was ordinary, the color was the same brownish red as every other coin in the pile, but when he held it under a magnifying glass, his heart skipped a beat. The mint mark was missing. The details were sharper. And the strike looked unlike anything he had ever seen before. He brought it to an appraiser. Within minutes, the room fell silent. The expert whispered words every collector dreams of hearing: "You might be holding $1 million coin." And he was right. That very penny later crossed the auction block and fetched a life-changing fortune, shocking everyone in attendance. Dealers gasped. Collectors rushed to double-check their own change. And the legend of the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was born. But here's where it gets even more incredible: not all 2000 pennies are valuable. Most are worth 1 cent. But the ones with these elusive minting errors, those are the treasures. Some show dramatic doubling in the letters, Liberty, or the date. Others have misstruck edges, giving the coin an off-center look. And the most coveted, the ones without the mint mark where it should have been, those can cross the threshold into million-dollar territory. Collectors call these sleepers. Ordinary coins hiding in plain sight. The kind you could spend at a gas station without a second thought. The kind a cashier might toss into a till without ever knowing the truth. But in the hands of someone who knows what to look for, it becomes a ticket to unimaginable wealth. Experts believe there are still undiscovered 2000 no-mint mark pennies hiding in circulation. Think about that. For 25 years, people have been handing these coins back and forth, across counters, vending machines, drive-thrus, even children's piggy banks, without realizing the fortune they were giving away. The next one could be waiting in the most unlikely place, your pocket change, and the key to spotting it comes down to details. Tiny details most people miss. Dealers say you must look closely at the date. If there is doubling, especially on the zeros in 2000, it could be rare. Check Lincoln's eye and the letters in Liberty. If the edges look thicker or shadowed, it could mean a double die. And then, the most important feature of all, look at the space where the mint mark should be. If it's missing, and the strike looks crisp and unusual, you might be staring at a coin worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked when news of these sales hit the headlines. Some said it was impossible. Some couldn't believe a modern penny, minted just 25 years ago, could command such astronomical value. But the auction results don't lie. One man's pocket change truly became $1 million miracle. Every few years, another example surfaces, reigniting the frenzy. Each time, the bids climb higher. Each time, more collectors flood into the market, desperate to uncover their own hidden treasure. And each time, the legend of the 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny grows stronger. The coin world is full of mysteries like this. Hidden errors. Overlooked varieties. Forgotten treasures waiting in dusty jars or rolled up at the bank. And this penny is proof that the next millionaire collector could be anyone, maybe even you. Most people spend their change without looking. Most people let pennies pile up, thinking they're worthless. And that's why treasures like this slip through the cracks. Because the fortune isn't lying in gold bars or rare jewels, it's hidden in the one thing almost everyone ignores: pennies, because that's all it takes. One glance. One spark of curiosity. One moment of attention that separates an ordinary day from a life-changing discovery. The year 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than just copper and zinc. It's a symbol of hidden wealth, of luck, of destiny waiting in the most ordinary places. And if you've ever doubted that miracles still exist, just ask the man who found his in a handful of pocket change. So here's how you find it. Search your change. Pull out every 2000 penny you see. Inspect the date carefully, especially the two zeros. Look at Lincoln's portrait, the details in his face, the spacing of the letters. And above all, check for the mint mark. If it's missing, and the strike looks unusual, you could be holding the next $1 million coin. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it shocked the entire coin collecting world by being valued at nearly $1.7 million. Think about that for a moment. A simple Lincoln penny, the kind most of us have jingling at the bottom of a drawer, suddenly becoming a ticket to unimaginable fortune. But why? What makes this ordinary-looking coin one of the most extraordinary finds in American history? The answer lies buried in mystery, hidden mistakes, and secrets from the U.S. Mint that most people never even hear about. And once you know what to look for, you may never look at your spare change the same way again. In 1988, billions of pennies were struck. To the casual eye, they all look the same: Abraham Lincoln's timeless portrait on the front, the stately Lincoln Memorial on the back. Nothing unusual, nothing to suggest wealth beyond imagination. But in that ocean of copper-plated zinc, a tiny handful of coins slipped through with a flaw so shocking that collectors would one day fight tooth and nail to own them. And here's the twist: this mistake isn't obvious. It isn't like a coin missing half its design. It's subtle. Hidden in plain sight. Something most people would never notice, unless they knew the secret. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In the late 1980s, a few collectors began noticing something strange on their 1988 Lincoln pennies. The portrait of Lincoln looked as it always did, but the reverse side, the Lincoln Memorial, contained a secret clue. A clue that would separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Some coins, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, carried design features meant for a completely different year. The dies used to strike certain 1988 pennies were accidentally paired with a reverse die intended for 1989. A mix-up so rare, so fleeting, that only a handful of coins made it out before the error was caught. This rare anomaly created what collectors now call the 1988 reverse of 89 Lincoln cent, because when something this rare slips through, it instantly transforms from pocket change into a priceless artifact. The difference is in the tiniest of details. On the reverse of the 1989 design, the letters in America are spaced slightly differently. The font is sharper. The memorial itself carries minute changes. To most people, it looks identical. But to a trained eye, it's a beacon, a sign that this is no ordinary penny. Collectors were shocked when one of these 1988 no mint mark reverse of 89 pennies surfaced at auction. Bidding started modestly, but then, it skyrocketed. Dealers rushed to outbid each other. Ordinary coin enthusiasts who had only come to watch suddenly realized they were witnessing history. By the time the gavel fell, the penny, yes, a single penny, had sold for a staggering 6 figures, but the story didn't end there. As more collectors spread the word, more examples surfaced. Each one in high grade sent shockwaves across the market. With every sale, the legend grew. Today, the finest known examples are valued at up to $1.7 million. Just imagine, one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yet, here's the real twist. The majority of people who held these coins had no idea what they were holding. They spent them at grocery stores. Dropped them in vending machines. Tossed them into jars. That means even now, decades later, some of these 1988 pennies are still out there, waiting to be discovered. It starts with the date. Check any 1988 penny with no mint mark, which means it came from Philadelphia. Then, turn it over. On the reverse, focus your attention on the word America. Compare it to a normal 1988 cent, and you'll notice something fascinating. The shape of the A in America is slightly different. The serifs are sharper, and the spacing closer, exactly like the 1989 design. It's subtle, yes. But this is the $1 million difference. Think of the stories behind these coins. A factory worker in 1988 might have unknowingly pocketed one from their paycheck. A teenager might have bought candy with it at a corner store. For decades, they circulated through thousands of hands, unrecognized, undervalued. Only in the last 20 years did the truth emerge. And now, those same coins are worth fortunes beyond what anyone imagined. They brought it to experts. And at first, even seasoned graders hesitated. Could it really be an accidental die mix-up? But the more they studied it, the more undeniable it became. They weren't just looking at a coin. They were looking at a piece of minting history that wasn't supposed to exist, and here's where the story turns almost unbelievable. One coin, graded in pristine condition, became the centerpiece of a major collection. The owner? A man who never thought he'd own anything worth more than his car, let alone a coin valued at over $1 million, collectors whispered about it. Dealers hunted for it. And to this day, whenever one appears, the coin market erupts with excitement. Because owning a 1988 no-mint mark reverse of 89 penny isn't just about money. It's about holding a secret of American history in the palm of your hand, but here's the chilling thought: how many more are still hidden in plain sight? How many 1988 pennies have been dismissed as ordinary, tossed aside, or sitting quietly in a coffee can on someone's shelf? The idea that a simple penny could be worth a life-changing fortune keeps collectors searching tirelessly, year after year. One man's junk drawer could hold another man's million-dollar miracle. So here's how to identify it step by step. First, pull out every 1988 penny you can find. Ignore the ones with D mint marks. You're only searching for Philadelphia strikes, which have no mint mark under the date. Next, flip them over and study the Lincoln Memorial. Look carefully at the word America. If the spacing matches a normal 1988 coin, it's just pocket change. But if it matches the sharper, tighter lettering of 1989, you found something extraordinary. Condition matters, too. The cleaner the coin, the higher the value. A well-preserved example could make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. Collectors have made fortunes from this knowledge. Ordinary people have stumbled into unimaginable luck. And the possibility still exists, for you, because right now, in your house, in your pocket, or in your change jar, you could be holding one of the rarest, most valuable pennies in American history, and that's the haunting truth. The 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, struck with the reverse of 1989, has already made millionaires. But the next discovery could be yours.